Normally, my videos are based on humor to a certain extent. But tonight, this one is serious. It's about the quote that I posted. The things in life to worry about are the pendulums, the great I am, and Murphy's Law. When I was 16 years old, I was asked to watch some children. Their parents were supposed to be back at 12 o'clock midnight from a party. They hadn't shown up for 3 days. We ran out of food. We ran out of options. I called their friend that lived 3 hours drive away. They had left their car there, and their friend told me to bring them up to her. So I did. Once I got there, I asked her what she was going to do with the children, and they were being sent to social services. On the way back, there was a man who was hitchhiking. I passed him by. I was alone. I was 16. It scared me to pick him up. I drove 45 minutes out of my way, and I kept feeling such guilt, wanting to reach out to him, wanting to help him. I knew it was a very hot day. And I thought, if he's still there when I get back, then it must be the will of God to help this man. And I went all the way back. He was still there. I picked him up and we started to drive. Now, I didn't know those roads very well. And as I was driving, there was a lot of construction and I became lost. The man slowly gathered information about me, who had seen me last, if anybody was looking for me. The fact was, I wasn't being looked for. No one had heard from me in 3 days. He started to try to get me to pull off to the side of the road, to pull over by a lake or up in the mountains. And I told him, no, just wait. We'll get to a town and we can stop and I'll buy you a drink and we can talk there. All of a sudden, he attacked me. He started beating on me, and my hands were just shaking, thumping on the steering wheel, and my feet were pounding on the bottom of the car. And I pulled over to the side, not all the way, but just partially off. And I told him, Mister, I was kind enough to give you a ride. Please get out of my car. There was a moment there when I knew that I could run. And I thought, if I run, they will never find me. My body will be not discovered. And then he really attacked me. He pulled me down into the side of the seat, and he was choking me and trying to do things that are extremely inappropriate. And I remembered a class that I had taken of how to get away. I tried to push out his eyeballs with my thumbs. I looked for anything to stab him in the neck. I couldn't get away. He was stronger than me. I was trying to open the door with one foot, and I was trying to honk the horn with the other foot. And there were cars that just kept swerving around me. They just kept going and going and honking because I was in the way. And I was so scared. And then I remembered in church, the Relief Society lady, she told me that if all else fails, say a prayer. I thought, I'm dead anyway. I may as well try a prayer. And so I prayed. I said, Heavenly Father, won't you please help me? And the whole time I was begging the man, please, please, please change your mind. Please, please, please show me some mercy. But he just kept continuing. But after that prayer, the man jumped out of the car. And I was telling him, thank you, thank you, thank you for sparing my life. And he was saying, go, go, go. And then I noticed a police officer parked behind my car. And he grabbed the man by the shoulder and he brought him up to the car and he said, do you want to press charges, ma'am? And I told the man, yes. And the man that attacked me looked at me and he said, can't you show a little mercy, ma'am? And I said, mercy, mister? How many women have shown you mercy? And how many have you killed? And he just hung his head down. The officer had me follow him all the way back to Nebo. And they took me into a room and they had me answer questions over and over again. And that man was sitting outside of the room, handcuffed in the front. Once they decided to let me go, I had to walk past the man and out the front door. And as I pulled out and started across to go, the man, they were having some kind of a fire emergency there in that town. And the man ran out of the police station right across the front of the car and ran into a parking lot. And I thought, he knows me. He knows who I am. He's going to kill me. If I don't stop him, he's going to kill me. And he might kill more. So I thought, I have to stop him. I have to stop him. I tried to run him over, but he got away. He went in between the cars, or the houses, sorry. And I couldn't get to him. And I took off and I drove all the way back to Mount Pleasant. I think I was going like 90 miles an hour. When I was called into court, they tried to say that it was my fault, that I had tried to, have him in a relationship, and that was not the truth. And when they asked me, is your witness? I said, God is my witness. And that man down there, he knows what happened. And he was convicted. As I was leaving the courthouse, the police officer stopped me. And he told me what had happened, things that I didn't know. He said that he was headed up through Thistle Junction, which was the other direction, and his batteries suddenly went dead in his radio. So he had to go back to the Kmart to buy more batteries. Then he tried to go up through Thistle Junction again, and his mouth got completely dry. and he went down to Little Acorn that was by the Nebo on-ramp. It was going the other way. And he felt that it must have been for a reason that he needed to go the other direction. And he said that a highway patrolman had passed by me along with all of those cars. And it was at that very moment when I called out upon the Lord to please, please help me, that he was passing my car. And he had a horrible feeling. He knew someone was in trouble in that car. And that's why he stopped, and that's why I'm alive. He said that when the man had escaped, they went looking for him. They were going door to door and couldn't find him. They found an elderly couple's home that had a car garage, and it had a root cellar attached down in the back. So they opened the door, and the one officer stayed at the top. The other officer went down, and he couldn't open the door all the way, so he took his flashlight and he shoved it up behind and into that man's ribs. And that man had the chain that was between the handcuff ready in his hand to clobber the police officer. Now, that man was wanted by the FBI. He had done this many times, and I know there are women still missing, women that didn't survive. Looking back on that story, I believe that God has a mission for all of us. I believe that that was not a coincidence. I believe that if I had not picked him up, he would not have been caught. I believe that the great I Am had set a trap to stop that man from being able to hurt other women. A couple of days ago, I went up to help someone who was in trouble, who was suicidal. There were several times that I was attacked physically, very violently. The second attack, I could hear my hands pounding, thumping on the steering wheel, and my feet pounding on the floor of the car. And I was pulled down onto the side. And my cheek had been bitten into, and it was about to be ripped from my face. I believe that if Les had not given the lesson that he did, I would not have had the courage to stay focused. All of the whole memory of that attack when I was 16 came flooding back. This person needed help. I tried to get her out of the car because I didn't think I could do it. And she begged me, pleaded with me, please help me, please help me, please help me. And so I drove on. 7 times I had to stop. But we made it to the emergency room, She didn't mean to hurt me. She didn't mean to attack me. It was drug-induced. But her life was spared. She's in the hospital. She's doing well. She went in on her own. A life was saved. Regardless of who the person is, regardless of what's happened, it's very important to know that we can swing with the pendulum or we can focus. Each life is extremely valuable. I know this is getting a little bit long, but I'm here to tell you that if you're in trouble, regardless of what the trouble is, step away from the pendulum. Have faith in the great I am. Murphy's Law will always be Murphy's Law, but you can avoid that. You have a reason to be here. Trust in the great I am. Have faith that he will deliver you. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.